What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Peer Pleasure with Dewey Halpus on Equal Vision Records and Sound Talent Media. I am Dewey, your host with the most, bringing you more great content week after week. And this is day 4 of the 12 days of Peer Pleasure, and I am bringing to you today Mr. Jason Ellis from the Jason Ellis Show. He's a pro skater. This is on SiriusXM. Or used to be on SiriusXM, rather. Pro skater, author, MMA fighter. You may have heard of Ellis Mania. The dude is prolific. He's from Australia. He is a fascinating person. He's got an incredible story, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is already. He's been a huge inspiration to me in the podcasting world because I love listening to his show. I love his style. I love that he can sit and just talk on a microphone, sometimes even by himself for an hour, and it's interesting. That's something that takes a lot of work to hone that craft, and what he's doing is fantastic. He was recently let go from SiriusXM and is branching out into the podcast world with the Jason Ellis Show and a podcast called Awesome World as well. So go check those out. But it was an awesome experience to get to sit with a real, satellite radio host who's been doing it for so long, like 15 or 17 years, something like that. And I always wanted to know what that would be like because I never got to that point in music to where I was going to those, and it's different too. When you're in music and you're going there because you're in a big band, it's a little unmatched, right? Because they're interviewing you because you're in a big band. I'm a plumber from Portland talking to one of the biggest radio hosts in the country. And that is an awesome experience, a little nerve-wracking, but also it was just nice. It was great. Jason's a cool dude. He's married to a friend of mine, Katie, and it was great. It was really good. So I'm not going to ramble on much more. I'll get into it. But let's get some business out of the way real quick. PeerPleasurePodcast.com is the website. PeerPleasurePod@gmail.com is the email to get in touch with me with comments, questions, guest ideas. Let me know what you guys think of this episode. I'm really interested to know because, as I told him on the episode, he brushes up against people that he's looked up to for a long time or been a fan of. And I told him that was what was happening right now because I was doing the same thing, getting to do that. So thanks again to Jason for coming on. Thanks to Katie. Thanks for getting everything set up, reminding people what's going on. There's a lot of moving parts to this show and a lot of moving parts to getting these things done. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys coming back week after week. Thank you so much. And yeah, man, let's get into this. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Jason Ellis from the Jason Ellis Show.
Yeah.
There we go. How you doing, man?
Good. Sorry, I'm studio cameras all hooked up to everything. So I had to take everything.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show, dude. I appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me.
Dude, absolutely. I've been a fan of what you do for a long time, and it's awesome to get to chat, man. I appreciate it a lot. You're going through a transitional phase right now that I've been noticing. How are things going, man?
I don't really know, like I just keep getting up and planning for the show and talking to all the people that want to offer me all their deals and ask for SiriusXM to give me my old radio shows back because they're not going to use them. And there's no, I got attorneys looking at contracts, so nothing's for sure yet. I have a plan, but I didn't sign anything, so I don't believe it until it's happened. The studio is behind schedule by a day, but apparently it'll be running by tonight so that we can film and record shows tomorrow. But I'm one of those people that if it isn't happening, then it hasn't happened. So to me, it's just looks like things are going to be great. People seem to be really supportive of the whole thing, and seems like everybody wished that we were not a part of SiriusXM years before this. Mm-hmm. Apparently everyone's been waiting to get us free or on Patreon. Apparently people are not happy with SiriusXM. That's what I'm getting anyway. But it seems like we might be okay. But until it's official, then it's just all up in the air. And all I can do is wake up and do whatever I can do to make it all work out.
Yeah. Dude, do you thrive on that kind of, I know it sucks, but do you thrive on that kind of insecurity or, things being up in the air? Or do you thrive better when everything's planned out?
No, unfortunately, I probably do better like this. I just feel like I worry about everybody else, and I don't like I don't like when I don't have the answers. Like whatever I have to do, that doesn't bother me. Like just tell me what it is. But right now, I don't know what it is, so that's the biggest one that annoys me. But I still there's tons of shit that annoys me. I just don't care. I only care about making the show work and making do you all like it or not? Because here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, I don't have another plan. I only have that.
Yeah. See, the impressive thing to me with hearing the last couple episodes of Awesome World, just you riffing by yourself, I like that a lot, because it's just like, to be able to sit there and talk to, I don't know where you're sitting when you're doing it, but being able to basically talk to us, but talk to yourself at the same time, like talking through your thoughts is fascinating in the podcast realm, because it's going into our headphones only, right?
Yeah.
Like the voice is, you probably know all about this, but how the host's voice, people trust it more because it's part of your subconscious. You're mowing your lawn, you're listening to the Jason Ellis show, you're listening to my show. It's getting piped into your brain, and it just becomes a part of that person's subconscious. So when you advertise something or, talk about something, people are more likely to believe it coming from your voice, right? So that's something that's been fascinating to me doing this show for 4 years now. The amount of emails I get about people saying, because you said this or so-and-so said this, I went and did this constantly. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, like making a living is obviously when you're younger, that's the priority. That's why I'm not overly stressed about it. Like if it really works out where people don't like it as much and I don't make as much money, I made a lot of money, and it didn't, I don't want to be poor, because I know that starving or not being able to afford, like buying my kids something or go on a vacation, that would probably bum me out, but I'll still get over that. But I just really care about the show. Accidentally became something that motivates people and it helps people. And there's people that have had a lot of bad things happen to them in their lives, a lot of struggles, and they can relate through my show because of the struggles that I will gladly talk about on the air. Like some things you probably would want to keep to yourself, but to me, there's somebody else out there that's going through it. And if they hear me talk about it, it makes it easier for them. So those are all the reasons why. I mean, that's why I'm so sad that SiriusXM show isn't on, because I can't tell. I'm not with them anymore. You can't hear me.
Yeah. So
it kills me. But on the other side, I just really believe that there's a few people out there that don't know how to use podcasting yet that were Sirius XM people, but they'll figure it out. It's
Middle
really
America.
If you really care, you'll get it.
Yeah. And it's free. I mean, Jesus Christ, you got to subscribe to Sirius.
I got people DMing me constantly, but how do you work this podcasting? And I'm like, man, it's been fun, hasn't it? Like some people just, I get in the car and there you are. That's it. That's all I've got.
Hell yeah. You need to put out a video on how to do it. Like just a quick video, like, hey, I'm doing a podcast now. So many people have done that and their numbers skyrocketed because they're like, what the fuck is that?
I'm just really holding off for the show. Like the Awesome World show is just like, people were like, you got to do something. I'm like, all right, I'll do something, but that's not me. That's not I don't like waiting. Like my show is the show, and I don't like spinning wheels on other people's shows until this is official. Like I want the Jason Ellis show to tell the story of the Jason Ellis show.
Sure.
Not just me. I want to get into doing whatever it is that I do when I smoke too much weed and I talk to myself and Awesome World. That's my show. That's my weird thing. And the Jason Ellis show is something entirely different. That's a monster and the team needs to be together for it.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I've really enjoyed the Awesome World episodes. It's just like sitting inside someone's head, Yeah,
because they want the network that wants the Jason Ellis show wants Awesome World, and they want the show that I'm going to do with Tony Hawk as well. So
Dude,
hopefully everybody likes all three of them, and then I get like enough money to live in this house.
Because you guys just moved, right?
Yeah.
Like close to the beach.
It's the best house I've ever lived in. It would really suck if I couldn't afford to live here anymore.
Fuck.
Whatever.
Get that call right in the new house. Jesus Christ, dude. I know.
That's why I was like, I really don't feel like it's out of line to ask for my archives. I said, I don't want a contract. I don't want nothing. You just give me that.
Yeah.
You just give me that for the fucking 15 years or 18 years, including Tony's show. Like, I gave my whole life to that. I would have died for that show 100 times, and you don't want to just give me that stuff, like, or just make it disappear. It seems like an asshole move.
Did you, in your deal, did they own your IP, your intellectual property? Because that show is, oh fuck.
No, I can still be Jason Ellis.
Yeah, but they have to give you those old shows.
They don't have to.
But well, for you to use them and have them, they would have to give up rights to them. Yeah. I got you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because that's a whole nother ballgame. Where does this hustler spirit come from with you? Like your whole story seems like you've just hustled your way, like busted your ass, like to get what you wanted. And kind of it's when I talk to people like that, it's fascinating to me where that comes from. Were you that way as a child?
I've always been really competitive. Mm-hmm. So I think my father probably instilled that into me. But I mean, skateboarding taught me everything, like how do you like, as a person that doesn't have athletical ability, I went to the ramp enough times to get a athletic ability. And it's not a book. I didn't read it. I didn't see a fucking documentary on it. Like Michael Jordan didn't tell me shit. I fucking figured this out by myself with my own two hands. I bled several times and was in a lot of pain, a lot of misery. But to me, I think the difference is I might have had a little bit of a challenged childhood that like started a fire in me. You know what I mean? So when you're 15, 16 and you compound fracture your arm and things come flying out of your skin, that usually should be like to tell you not to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. But to me, it was like I've never contemplated. The only time I contemplated not skateboarding anymore is when I got offered a job at SiriusXM. And I was like, man, I can't get paid the way I get paid in skate. I can't keep up. I just knew the way I skateboarded, I was too hurt to stay with the best. And it broke my heart. So to me, like, I don't quit because everybody thinks I'm a loser. When I was growing up, everybody thought I wouldn't amount to shit. And I fucking told you.
Who is that you're talking about? Your friends,
everybody,
everybody,
family.
Your family?
My family thought, yeah, fuck yeah. And they had every right to. I was terrible at school, got in trouble, got in fights, and got beat up. I wasn't like a bully. I just got beat up for being a smart ass. And every now and then I'd try to stick up for myself and fight a bunch of people. But I remember my stepmother's mother, nice person, but I think I started getting paid for skateboarding, and I bought a Toyota 4Runner. It was out the front of my parents' house, and she comes out the front and she goes, "Whose car's that?" And my stepmom said, "That's Jay's car." And she goes, "Is it? He turned out all right for a bit of a drip." And I was like, and I saw my stepmom's face, like the horror in my stepmom's face, because she knew that no one said it, but it was pretty obvious that I was the fucking idiot of the family. And I mean, and her voicing it, I could tell. She was like, my stepmom cared and knew that there's psychological damage and shit like that. Like everybody else, my dad didn't know. He didn't care. He was a fucking idiot. But my stepmom, she was the most rational person I knew in my childhood. So I could tell she was really hurt because her mom's she was a little older, a little senile, and she didn't get that would cut me like that. But I never forgot that, ever. And I think that's a big sign as to who I'm trying to prove a point to. There's been many reasons to get where I am. And then when you get here, once I got here to what I would call Successville, then I just started working on myself and how to be happy, because I just noticed that, first of all, I met some people that were ahead of me that were super angry with their lives, and they were making like $2 million a year. And I'm like, $2 million a year and you hate your life? Do you know how many fucking people would kill for that check, dude? So I was like, I got to look into myself here. And a couple people had mentioned in stories like, oh, Ellis, what's he look like? He's the guy that fucking, looks like he's going to kill you all day. And I'm like, wait, what? I do? I'm like, no, I don't. But I guess I do spend a lot of time being dark. So I just spent a lot of the last couple of years trying to figure out how to be happy with nothing.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's an incredible place to come from especially from your own family telling you that's kind of stuff, like giving you something to rail against. I mean, it's something to be grateful for somewhat, because you are where you are because you fought against it. But shit, man, getting told something like that at that age, just fuck.
It's overrated. Like the payback, that's the other thing. Like winning and telling people I told you so. Yeah. It's overrated as fuck. Like I thought that would have, that's how I know. But to me, I don't know unless I do it. Yeah. You can tell me about how this is bad for you, that is bad. I don't believe any of you, and I need to do it myself to know for sure. So I just, it's getting people back doesn't do shit. Tell people I told you so doesn't do shit. It doesn't, like the feeling that you get in here from it versus just going about your life and being happy.
Yeah.
I know what I'm about now. Like Sirius XM, I don't need to if I make $100 million, I get a fucking Joe Rogan deal. I'm not calling anybody at Sirius XM to tell them to suck my butt. I don't care. Yeah. I just want to be happy. I just want to I want to look back and go, man, this is even better than the other job. I'm having a great time.
Dude, I think you will. And that's what they say. Living well is the best revenge. That's the phrase. Like instead of telling people to fuck off or this and that, just live your life and be happy. And they'll see that. And they're probably in a shitty situation now, or maybe they're in a perfectly fine situation, but they see where you end up, and that's it right there.
I just don't have time for that shit anymore. Yeah. I thought I was going to die this year, and I don't have time to be angry or get anybody back. I just want to kind of laugh and have as much fun as I can every day.
Yeah.
Love my kids.
What happened there? I saw on Katie's Instagram stories. You were in the hospital. And you said something about a cardiac ablation.
No, I didn't have an ablation. I had an ablation like 6 years ago because my heart has like some valve in it that can go into AFib, and if you go into AFib too long, you can have a stroke. So it's some heart defect. Lots of people have them, but you can have an ablation and they fuse some little part, the faulty part in the valve, and then it usually doesn't, do the heart. It doesn't jump anymore. It just stays normal. So the rest of the heart is super healthy, but that's that one faulty bit. So I had the ablation years ago, and, I started training again and training a lot. And then I just completely forgot about it. And then I started drinking again, but, not a lot, just a little bit. And then the pandemic hit and just started drinking like 4 or 5 days a week. Not a lot, but just had a drink with dinner.
Yeah.
It started to be normal again. And then I went away with Katie to Big Sur or whatever, and we just drank wine all day, every day. And then I woke up 2 days later because I felt so hungover for like 3 days. I was like, man, I don't think I could drink ever again. I feel so bad. And then the third morning I woke up and my heart was in AFib. And I wasn't sure, so I did a radio show because I'm always dedicated to the radio show. In Sirius XM, I got your back. And then I had a doctor come over, and he was like, "Yeah, you're in AFib." So then I drove myself to the hospital, and put me on all this shit, and didn't feed me for a couple of days, and then gonna knock me out, and then shock my heart back into normal heart arrhythmia or whatever. And then I went and saw the specialist again, and they said, Your heart is fine, man. Just some people when they get older, alcohol triggers that shit. And if you want my opinion, I just wouldn't drink again. You're probably fine. You could probably go back to training tomorrow if you just don't drink. And I was like, man, the amount of times that I've been in this fucking situation, like, I've been to rehabs and AAs and stuff. And, every now and then I'll clean it up and then I come back with a little more control, a little wiser, but never 100% clean. Just I calmed it down. Seems to be okay. Mm-hmm. And then to me, this one was just not even casual, Jason. Not even a casual one. This is the end for you. And I didn't mind. It didn't bother me that much because I just felt like this is kind of wasting my time anyway. I could do better. I feel like the SiriusXM mundane same thing every day and kind of this weird little fight where you can be very successful and they don't care, Mm-hmm. Like you can do great things and they don't give a shit. And I just started to, it's like they did to Opie and Anthony. They bash you until you don't really like yourself anymore. They speak down to you. They take things away from you that originally were yours to the point where you feel beaten, but they give you a check. So you just sit on it. And that's kind of what I was doing. I'd be crazy not to catch this thing. Like I go in, it's all set up. I fart around. Whether it's good or bad, that's the other thing I noticed. I could fucking do the greatest interview of all time and everyone could talk about it and it could be in the press everywhere. And I could also fucking fall asleep on the radio. They didn't care.
Yeah.
It was just fucking Howard Stern show. That's the end of it. You can't get on the radar. They won't promote you. It's almost like he said, don't promote anybody else. It's almost like that.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Because you're not allowed, especially if you're on his thing. Like if you're on that kind of audience, then you're not going to get you're just going to get shit on. So yeah, that whole corporate thing, it beats you down. That's why I feel like I'm actually kind of a lot more optimistic lately. Because since I got fired, my Instagram went up like 3,000 followers. I get fucking thousands of messages every day telling me fuck that place, sending messages, showing me messages, SiriusXM saying, oh, don't worry, Jason will be back. Like them just bullshitting people all day.
So they don't cancel.
I know, but I didn't even know it was legally. You can't leave. Can you? I guess you can do it because they're doing it. But I'm like, you can say in writing, he's coming back. So don't quit. I don't know. Like I said, I could get wound up about that, but I just want to just turn this fucking show back on. That's all I want.
Well, Jason, what does it for you, man? Like with me, this show, like you said, you could have the best interview ever and then, they can shit all over it. Right. But you still had that fucking interview, right? You still had that. You still put that out to the people. You were in the room. You did it. I just literally had Johnny from Avenged Sevenfold on before you. And he said hi, by the way. He's been on your show a few times. But he was talking about that. Like when you have that really good chat at the end, you just kind of feel inspired. Like regardless, even if nobody heard it, it didn't even come out. Like you still feel good. Like, did you still get that feeling afterwards? Or was it still like, oh, they're going to shit on this, Like, did you have that? I mean, I know you were engaged, but fuck.
I mean, in the end, you don't answer to them. They don't exist.
Yeah.
I didn't, I'm trying to think like the last couple of times, if I ever did something really good where, the interview was big and everyone's like, holy shit, dude, you got them to say a bunch of stuff. It's not, I guess the fans mean the most to me. Yeah. Like if the fans are like, that's the greatest thing ever. I'm more if I catch something myself, where people might not even catch it. Like to me, I might hit a button where I think it's slightly, like it's pretty intelligent or that was quick-witted of me. And then I give myself a little pat on the back. Those are the little things. And to me, it's therapy. Like I get a lot of stuff out on the radio. Mm-hmm. So that's probably my biggest satisfaction from it is doing all that. But to me, size. Like if the show turns into a monster, I won. And it's just that's a rush. That's a drug rush. and I am a junkie. And I want that, like I'll always fight for the show to jump to some crazy height where everyone goes, fuck. And I'll be like, I fucking did it. And I don't want to go out and get like congratulated. I just want to do it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause when it gets to that point though, like it gets to that point, it becomes a monster. I mean, with the, I'm trying to think where I'm going with this. It's going to be on your terms. Like, do you go into interviews like that with that in mind, like trying to dig in for those things or get people to say those things? Or do you let it just naturally come out? Like, you're not like, okay, I'm going to hit on these talking points because I know this is something that happened.
No, I mean, if I don't know somebody, then maybe I'll have some talking points because I don't want to make them think that I don't know who they are, because some people get pissed about that.
Yeah.
But no, it's accidental genius, so I get a feel for the person, don't know what I'm going to say. I just really try to like get a feel for the person and get them to understand where I'm coming from, also at the same time while being entertaining, which means sometimes you can kind of step on people's toes for the sake of the listener. So it's a tightrope. It's a lot of pressure actually, and that's more like, it really is the pressure of, does the guest like me, and do the fans that are listening like me for doing this interview with the guest? Like those are the two things that I care about the most. So that's my biggest pressure is, will this person like me for what I'm saying to them?
Yeah.
Will we hit it off? Because if we don't, I'm like, fuck, man, I could have done better. Like, how could I not get through to that person that I was just having fun,
Yeah. I hear you, dude. That's the same thing on my end. It's where I'll get like a guest and then I'll be nervous about it all day. Not even nervous, just anxious. And I think, what the fuck am I anxious for? Like, if it sucks, it won't put it out.
To me, being anxious it's like I get anxious before a fight, I get anxious before a race or a contest. To me, if it's like controlling it, because fear and anxiety can eat you alive, but having anxiety and having fear is super healthy if you know how to do it. Like, you can be tired as fuck, but when the anxiety comes in, like if I'm fighting tomorrow, like I could be tired as fuck, but I'm going to be awake when that shit starts, because this is everything. And that's how I see the show. Like when the show starts, this is everything to me. I don't have anything else as far as I'm concerned. This has to work. So you put more effort in.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more. I feel the same way. I'm not in the same situation where this is, my livelihood, much like it is for you, but the same feelings, I think about the same way. Like when this starts, I'm on, and it's all I'm thinking about. It's the one time I'm not worried about what's going on outside of here. It's the one time I can be in the moment. Because other than that, I'm thinking about the next thing. And I schedule so much shit that it's a fucking crazy tightrope to where I'm like, okay, if I have 5 minutes here, I can do this and blah, blah, blah. Like trying to make the most of the time. But it's inspiring to hear you say that, because, a lot of people, may not know that about, how you go about these interviews, how you go about these shows. And it's pretty obvious to me your dedication to your craft. You know what I mean? And it's a special thing. Like this whole thing. That's why with the podcasting, you go into a podcast is going to be incredible, because you're going to control everything. You're going to be your own boss. But you're also responsible for all of it. But it's going to be so rewarding.
I don't mind that. I don't mind being responsible for it. That's the bit that I hated about Sirius, is they just it just seemed like there's so many chains of command that I don't even know who the fuck I'm doing it for. Like, I don't think that the highest one knows what I'm doing. So it's a weird thing there. I feel like there's a lot of people there that kind of do their best to stay in the shadows, and that's the safest way to keep getting your check. There's no loyalty, because everybody's done something really inappropriate to the other person. Like at SiriusXM, the bosses have treated the people under them so poorly that we ain't fucking friends, man. Like when this is over, we ain't fucking cool. Like to me, I'm talking like that because that's how I really talk. That's how I really see the world. And that's when, and that's how I'm explaining it to you in layman's terms, where we're business, we worked with each other for 10 years, but we ain't fucking cool, dude, because you played it in a way where on the streets, if you and I were talking like that, that would be a fucking disrespectful move for no reason. You're a fucking bitch. And that is SiriusXM's upper management. They've done that to everybody down the line. My boss's boss has been shit on by his boss and so forth and so on to the point where it gets to you where some dude who's just a shell of a man is yelling at you for you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck that for not wanting to be on a talk channel. I'm just like, I don't know. When I think about how many things they did where I was like, please don't do that. And then the show got really big and then they were like, we're doing it and we're not even going to take a phone call on your problem with it. I'm like, okay.
Dude, that's insane.
I wish I had walked away, you know? I wish because there was a time there where I would have, and then I started to become corporate so that I could get along with everybody because I want to be liked. I want to be friends with everybody. And I felt like I was this skateboard guy that was telling all these business people that they don't know shit. And, you know, word was getting out that I was saying, you tell that guy, I said, go fuck yourself. Like I was playing it like that. And I'm like, no one's going to help me in New York. No one, I'm not getting any promotion. It's just an uphill battle all the time. So maybe I try to be like more corporate friendly and more understanding. And that was a really stupid idea, you know, because that was just like, they're snakes, man. Like when you think you're befriending someone, you're not. That's a business snake. You know, like there's people that just use me as a stepping stone and then would be happy that I lost my job. Like, and those are the people that were like in the middle of whatever it is we're doing. So yeah, to do this show, and if it works half as good, and there is no conversation about promo, there is no, you know what I mean? Like the people that I'm hiring to promote my podcast, it's in the contract, man. They promote it in-house with the same people they do their shows with. And then all my friends that already have podcasts, that are my friends that have giant podcasts, I'll be on their podcast. Mm-hmm. No one's telling me which one I can go on and which one I don't go on. If I go on one guy's before the other guys, guess what? Nobody gets mad about that in podcasting. Mm-hmm. But apparently it's SiriusXM. If you do that, you cause battles.
Dude, it's a whole new world. Podcasting is I don't even think we've touched the tip of the iceberg, even the big ones, like on the power behind it, you know? And you have that charisma though, Jason. You have that charisma. I don't know if you've always had it or not, but you just have that way about you. I think people are going to follow you where you go. You know what I mean? They're interested in what you're doing. They're interested in your story. You know, it's something you can't buy and you can't really learn it either. I think you either have it or you don't. I mean, do you agree?
Yeah, you're right, man.
Because I mean, and not saying that you have to agree that you're charismatic, but that's something you've probably had all along. That you've just kind of it's a gift that's kind of eased its way out from your early beginnings. You know, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
You know, as you get more comfortable with yourself. And real quick, one of the big things you did that it wasn't even your show. You were on. I think it was Sam Roberts. I think you had just signed the new contract. So you were kind of like, yeah, all right, cool. Like feeling, you could see it in your face. I was watching the YouTube feed and you could see it in your face like you were stoked. But then you guys went down a rabbit hole where you came out, like you delved into so much information about your personal life. I was kind of sitting there just like, holy shit, like you were going some places, my friend. And
I wanted to tell everybody that story, but nobody asked me.
Really?
Fuck yeah, man. I've been dying to get that shit out for years.
How did it feel? Like I mean,
he clued in because he heard me on Pete Dominic's show, and Pete accidentally touched on something that I just admitted it because I was, like I said, dying for someone to ask me so that I could get it out and done with. Also terrified, but also ready to say it because I was just like, I'm done with this shit. Like I'm done with hiding what I am. Don't like me. I just know what I am. So yeah, when he asked me, I kind of was I nervous? Yeah, of course. But I also was like, you know, somebody actually bothered to figure it out and ask me the question. Like I kind of felt, I'm like, at least he gave a shit to find out. And I was like, he's gonna get a lot of clicks on YouTube. I knew it was kind of helping him too. Like,
yeah. See, that's
I didn't mind.
The thing is about Katie in the cage with the blanket over. I was laughing my ass off because I was just picturing the situation because, it was just, it was that like, it was a really deep thing. And then all of a sudden I was laughing hysterically because I was just picturing that. But shit, man, and putting yourself out there like that too is huge. You know, it probably feels a lot better now. And I mean, you've probably lost some friends because of it, which is sad to say, but
they weren't my friends anyway.
Yeah. You find out right away.
It's more for the people that are hiding it. That's at the point now. I'll talk about it because I just know that there's tons of people out there like me who have not come out and face who they are. So they have to keep it hidden, maybe take extra drugs and alcohol and do a bunch of other malicious shit to themselves to cope. Because I know that I've done that. So to me, it's more, I'm the voice for anybody who, thinks they're a man and also plays with dudes every now and then. Because I feel like there's this thing where if you're bi or gay, then you're not a full man. And I disagree.
Yeah, dude, it's ingrained in people. It's ingrained in people. It was
ingrained in me. I was fucking gay and disgusted in myself. Like there was a time there where I was like, man, fags, they're so, gross.
How did you deal with that? With drugs and alcohol?
Yeah.
Fuck. That would shut off that hating yourself, or would it just mask it? Like if it's
a total mask, but I was already a guy that had been running from being molested by his father for his whole childhood. And I'd figured out a way to fucking completely erase that from my life. If it wasn't for drugs and alcohol, I probably never would have recalled it.
Wow. Because
I took a bunch of drugs and fucking had an imaginary friend tell it to me.
See, that story was insane when you're talking about that with it was your ex-wife, right? That said
that's my girlfriend.
Or your girlfriend, but said like, hey, Jason was talking to himself last night or something and saying some pretty fucked up, like to your mom. And then your mom said, I thought he forgot about that or something.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, I know. And then I had to talk to my stepmom and she's like, well, it's not exactly what happened. Apparently the neighbor did something, but your dad talked to him. And I'm like, my dad talked to him. I'm like, you don't think that's weird? Because my dad used to punch people in the face for like cutting them off on the street in a car. He would get out and beat people up all the time. So as a parent, if you molest my son, I don't care about this job. You're dead,
Yeah.
You're for sure dead. I'm going to get you. And I have more control than he does.
Yeah.
So how come he didn't do it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it was all about, and then my stepmom didn't believe me and my brother didn't believe me. And then they kind of got a half story from people in Australia that like heard a little bit of the Stern appearance and read a little bit of the book and gave my brother like some twisted part of it. So we had a big falling out for like 4 or 5 years. So I kind of realized that it was my father when I was 40, came to terms with that. Then my Australian family, we kind of stopped talking because of it. And I got divorced all at the same time. So I was very lonely. Like my in-laws were kind of the closest thing to parents. They're now my ex-in-laws. So they're on their daughter's side. So I don't have them. My kids are really young. Can't talk to them. I didn't have that many friends at the time. I kind of was just busy working and I don't know. It just seemed like I recall it to be a very lonely, tough time because it was like, boy, I really regret being me, Seemed like everything that I was doing was the last thing anybody wanted to stand next to. All in the middle of having a successful radio show somehow.
Yeah. How do you switch out of that, man? How do you switch out of it to go on the radio and be?
I can't believe people still listened. I think I did a couple of years of really bad radio, like really depressed.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah. I wanted to kill myself.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad you're still here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it, but I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, what an unbearable existence, but I'm staying,
Yeah. but it got to that point where you thought about it. I mean, that's a legitimate thing. Yeah. What's that?
That's happened a couple times.
Fuck.
When I was younger, there was a couple times there where I was like, what's the point? But I feel like you just put that down to, you know, it's be by yourself a lot, you know? Like, what am I bouncing it off? There was no conversation. I didn't, if you had a problem, you just dealt with it.
You just internalized it and let it stew and fester.
My stepmom didn't fucking like me. You know what I mean? My mom wasn't really there for that kind of discussion, and my dad was definitely not there for that discussion. So it was just, there's carried a lot of pain, a lot of mystery, a lot of, didn't get my answers until I was way older.
Yeah.
But it worked out for the better, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause just tougher, just happier with, like, look at, I got a golf cart, man. Things are great.
Dude, I was going to bring up the golf cart because you bring that up so many times as this metaphor almost at the same time as it's literally a golf cart. But
a total metaphor,
I'll have
man.
to lose the golf cart.
The golf cart. Like, only assholes have golf carts. I don't even play golf. Like, I made it, man. This is like I drive around the streets in a golf cart with like music playing. I'm fucking so happy that I've done this.
All
like
the
younger
time.
Me looking at older me, I know that younger me would be like, fuck yeah, man. Like, no way. You don't give a fuck, huh? Like, no, man, I don't.
If you could show yourself sitting back in your room stewing on shit, what you'd be like now, and fucking driving around that golf cart, and Katie next to you, just fucking
young Jason would be very proud of old Jason.
Dude, that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, is that where back that way, were you talking to yourself back then to where you were? I mean, you've got, not to focus on this, but like you've got that gift where you can just sit there and talk and it's interesting, right? Like there's 70 people out here in front of the studio downtown Portland that are talking to themselves too, and it's not interesting. But what you can do, it's a gift, man. And did you used to kind of have that inner monologue to yourself back then? Like where you had to be comfortable enough to, I mean, because you're in your head with no friends and no family that want to be around. You have all that inside. You only have yourself to talk about it with. Is that why you're so comfortable now talking like that? I just always had a really big appreciation for existing. You know, I don't know where it came from, but I've always felt like if there's an opportunity, my competitive side kicks in so quickly. You know what I mean? If there's some sort of opportunity to make the most of something, then I think I take it, like you're saying with your show, you get nervous. Like the first time someone was like, hey, why don't you announce the contest? Like the announcer guy isn't there. That was the first time I ever realized I had something, because I was like, yeah, I'll talk. And then everyone's laughing and everyone's like, holy shit, dude, you're on fire. And I'm like, what for? So I wasn't practicing. I just think whenever I get an opportunity to do something, I just, it's funny because I think I lose concentration on things a lot, but there's a hyper focus that I have that it's kind of like meditation. Like to me, there's a focus that I've had where I used to pretend I could skate. I used to not go to school and hide in an alleyway from 9:00 a.m. until 3 p.m. And I would just stay in that alleyway looking at my fucking sneakers, doing skateboard tricks in my head. I used to do skateboard tricks in my sleep when I would lie there, and I would have my hands, this is before I broke my elbows so much, like my shoulders so much. I used to sleep with my hands under the pillow on my stomach, and I would think of skateboard tricks so much that all of a sudden I'd realize that my elbows weren't on the ground because my back was tensing up because I was thinking of skateboard tricks. So I was kind of stiff, you know what I mean? Like in a bed, because my mind was, it's like, reminds me of back when I used to do a lot of cocaine. I get coke hand, like it would start to retract. It was kind of like that. Like I would just think so much that I'd be like, gone. I'm in here so far that my body's retracting from, you know what I mean? Like it's having a little bit of a fit from being in another place. So I just think
if something is not, man, I don't know for sure, but from therapy, if something's not the pain that I was running from, it was really good. So I think being in my own little head, focused, was a really good feeling, because I think just it's not even that sad, you know what I mean? But I think at the time I just thought it was really sad. You know, I saw it as nobody gave a shit, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I had food and shit. My they had money. I mean, at one point they were broke, but at one point they had some money too. Like, it's not a tough life. It's just it just goes to show, like, you know, molestation and when your parents are fucking 20 and 16 when you're born, it's not their fault, you know. They didn't know anything, and they kind of left me to my own thing, you know, uneducated, all that shit. But the streets taught me, man. Like, you know, skateboarding taught me. Skateboarding, and then the friends that I met, and then traveling to overseas and meeting all these, you know, when you're talented, then you meet all these other talented people. Then you meet talented people that aren't just skateboarders. They're talented at all these other things. And then I pick and choose things to copy off these people. And I'm very fortunate to have bumped into, like, legends, you know, like, you know, there's people out there in skateboarding and motocross and in motorsports and fighting that are legendary human beings. I'm not saying there isn't scientists that are also that. I'm just saying that I've brushed with people that have a real gift, a real vision of seeing things, and it's rubbed off on me. I've always had a thing of, I can emulate things, you know, like if I see stuff and I can learn from it. It's like, it's bringing back skateboarding again. When you see it, do it in front of me, I can figure out how to do it. So when I see somebody doing something that I appreciate, I adopt a little piece of it, and that can be talking, that can be, you know, everything, boxing, you know what I mean? I start to look like them. Until you find your own you. To me, skateboarding, I was Christian Sorry, Chris Miller, and Jason Jesse, and Ben Schroeder. And then all those, me trying to be those guys on the ramp all day, pretending to be Christian, pretending to be Miller, pretending to be Jesse, like all that shit turned into me. If years of my little thing and their things that I looked up to, all of a sudden there was Jason Ellis, the pro skateboarder, who didn't look like anybody except Jason Ellis. It's the same in radio. I just had Howard Stern because I didn't listen to anybody else, but I didn't need to copy him. He's open and he's sincere is what I was under the impression of. And that's what I'm going to do. And that was as far as, you know, because I'd already been around the block and I knew don't emulate these people. You know, like there's this thing that he has that I have, and to me, I was like, I'm better. I'm more talented than him. I could beat him if there was a contest. I could beat him. So be smart, do you know what I mean? And give it everything you've got, because in skateboarding, I knew I didn't have talents, and I made it to like top 3 in the world with no skill. And I'm like, this radio thing, I'm the best, and I've never seen anybody talking to a microphone where I was like, oh man, how does he do that? Nobody has ever, sounds really cocky. Like, I like some people that have talked, I'm impressed by them, but they've never, like, I've skated with Danny Way and Tony Hawk, and there's been times in my life where I've gone, well, at least you were there, you know, at least you were in there with these guys. And I knew it. I admitted it to myself. I'm like, he's just more talented than you, dude. You could come here all day. Danny Way has a bigger gift than you have. But in radio, nobody does, even Stevens. And why would I not do everything in my power to make the most of that?
Absolutely. Dude, this hits on a lot of things. But how you say you brushed up against legends, right? You emulate things, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And I don't mean that in like a kiss ass kind of way, but you are a legend in what you do, right? To where I said, you know, let's see what happens. Let's get on the line with a fucking legitimate radio personality, right? Because this is what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
it's what I want to do. I come from the music world. I play with Portugal the Man. Like, that was my dream. And then it wasn't anymore. But now I talk to mostly musicians on this show. I'm talking to people that I've had on my fucking wall since I was 12 years old.
Right.
I'm a plumber from Portland, but that's what I do. And that's what people write in that they want to hear, right? It's the coolest fucking feeling in the world, Jason. But like I told Dan at Eagle Vision, I said, I wonder what it'd be like to sit with Jason Ellis or Howard Stern. Just see what would happen, right? Right now, that's what's happening for me is we're just conversing, right? I don't have any fucking notes in front of me. I didn't prepare for this at all because I didn't want to. I don't for any of my shows. And I love hearing that about you, that you can, if you don't know the person, you brush up on some talking points. But for the most part, it's just, let's see what happens. And that's the best part about what we're doing and what we do in podcasting or radio. But that's what I'm talking about. Hearing your story while you and I are conversing is the same situation. Like I'm not trying to emulate what you do or take what you do and run with it. But I'm inspired by you and what you've created for yourself, right? And so this, for me, is kind of that similar situation. We just have a lot in common, I think, with the way we look at the world. But, you know, and that's something that is paramount. I mean, it's something that is priceless to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right now, you're just having a conversation with some dude in Portland. But for me, it's like, this is really fucking cool, man, because it's something I never thought I would do, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, like if you had a podcast right after skateboarding and then Howard Stern said, yeah, I'll come on your show. You know, it's similar.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
No. But
I hit up Pink. I hate hitting up Pink. I hate asking anybody for anything. But I hit her up to see if she would do the new show. I totally know what that's like. And I've been friends with her for fucking 20 years. And I still feel I don't want, you know, I mean, when you're that much bigger than me, it's a huge favor. And I don't want to ask anybody for a fucking huge favor, especially when you're my friend. Cause when you're up there with her, that's all anybody does is ask you for shit.
Yeah.
So I really would try to stay away from that. But I did that like a week ago and I had the wrong number because she changed numbers. So then I had to talk to her fucking husband about getting her number. And I'm like, fuck, man, I can't believe I'm in this goddamn. And I've known him for even longer. He can go fuck himself. But I still feel terrible that I have to ask those two for a favor, you know, even if they're like, I fucking love you, Jason. I love what you stand for. Of course, it's still beside the point. It's, man, I really wish that I could do you guys a favor. It's always, hey, Carrie, hey, Pink, can you help, help the dog out? So,
well, dude, you're doing me a favor today, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's huge for me, dude. And when you're that level, of course, people can, but you got to realize like you're at a level too, right? And you need to call on your friends every once in a while. Now is where, but this is exact the situation. This is your Rocky V, right? This is where everything comes back around, right? You are done with Sirius, and now you're reaching out to everybody. Like, rate and review the show, check it out. You're in go mode again. And here's where you're going to find out who's on your side and who's not. And I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised. And
I already am.
You need to ask from your friends. And this is the time to do it. And they'll fucking know that, Well,
the next one is Dak Shepard, and I still haven't got the tools to do it.
He had my Portugal the Man Boys on his show once or twice or something like that. But they do everything. Larry King, all that shit. But right. I'm not there anymore.
Pretty big time. So
yeah.
But once again, it's a kind of ask that if you say no, you're not my friend. Like, because this is it. This is everything.
Sure.
If you fucking, and I'm like, it'd be different if I was like, have me on your podcast and I'll sink your battleship. Like, I'll be a good interview, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, don't act like I'm gonna I'm not fucking Brad Pitt. Fuck you, dude. Like, I'll do a really good interview. You've had people on your show before where they're as, they're as obscure as I am. Like, they're not like every guest he's had is fucking, Elvis Presley status. Like, yeah. So if he's like, no, man, sorry, I'm busy. I will be like, wow, dude. I'm just going to say, wow. Cause that will be, I now know we're not friends. We're not.
Yeah. That's your time of need, man. It's your time of need.
Big time,
And
man.
you would
This
do the
is
same thing for them.
Like these fucking downloads. God.
Now that's what you get to worry about.
Yeah, because it's this company is like, you get this many downloads, you're home free. So all I see is home free. I need 100,000. Need 100,000 downloads, and apparently then I'm home free. If it ain't 100,000, I failed. I'm not giving up, but it's a fail. Make no mistake,
dude. You know what? You got to keep going, even if you don't hit that.
I'm not going to stop for anybody. I'm just being honest with you, dude. Like, I've got a number in my head because I heard those guys say if 100,000, that's big, that's huge, and I'm like, well, that's me. I'm big and I'm huge. That's what we're doing here. That's the objective. So if you tell me that it's kind of big, it's kind of huge, well, that's not what my objective was. Mine was fucking huge. That's the end of it.
Yeah. Are you hitting anywhere close to what you want to hit with Awesome World and anything? Like, are you seeing positive growth?
Yeah. Because that is a joke. And I think that is like 20,000 downloads in the first couple of hours.
There you go.
And I think it made it like top 20, like it's like top 15 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that, there's a real chance that it could be, if it's top 15 for the Awesome World, then why wouldn't the Jason Ellis Show be number one?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's all, it seems, sure, great. Get Tony Hawk, get Pink, and everybody can talk about it. Hey, check out Jason's new podcast. Oh, Jason Ellis Show. It's all edited and pretty, like Fighter and the Kid. And whoa, this is great. That doesn't mean everybody's coming to the party. That's not. But this is, to me, this is. Are we good? Does everybody really? Are we really up there with everybody else? Because here it is. If you don't take it, I got my answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, dude, it's gonna be fantastic, and it's gonna be good. I'm really stoked that you're doing it on your own terms. You're just gonna be so much happier, I think. And it's such a cool. And you've been doing podcasts for a while, just not like as your only gig. Right. But it's something that's truly special, and you can really, the sky's the limit. I mean, there's really no end to it. You know what I mean? And yeah. Get Dax on, get Pink on, get Tony Hawk on, get Obama on. I mean, shit.
He follows Katie.
Are you serious? That's fucking incredible.
You didn't see that?
No.
Yeah, he follows. I think whoever runs their account is like a big OnlyFans person because they follow. I think since she got on OnlyFans, OnlyFans account, Obama's been hot for her. So that tells you something.
Man, you need to get Michelle Obama on then and bring Katie on and just do the whole thing.
That'd be great.
Yep.
That's the interview that gets me the 100,000 downloads. That's the deal sealer right there. Fuck, that'd be great,
dude. Yeah, Michelle Obama, and Katie and you in the same podcast, but dude. Well, man, thank you so much for doing this, dude. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the luck, and to you and Katie both, and getting this thing off the ground. I mean, you're already there. You just need to put it out, and you got the studio almost done.
Yeah, it should be done tonight.
Fuck yeah, and you're gonna record in the morning.
That's what's up,
dude. Man. Well, Jason, dude, thank you so much for coming on, man, and for being an inspiration to me. This is the similar situation. So, yeah, man. Anything I can ever do for you, let me know. Otherwise, hang in there.
I appreciate it, mate.
All right, brother.
Thanks.
See you later.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Jason Ellis from the Jason Ellis Show on SiriusXM. He is no longer with SiriusXM. He is in a transitional phase, as you heard. And I hope everything works out for him. I hope this new podcast venture is successful. And go check out Awesome World. You heard us joking about his golf cart. And the way he uses that golf cart as a metaphor for his success is hilarious. And it's real. He owns the golf cart. He drives around the city in it. But in Awesome World, he'll tell you about it. Like it's whether he gets the golf cart or not from this podcast, if this is successful or not, it's just hilarious. It's just his style. So definitely go check that out. Go rate and subscribe to his podcast. I mean, any podcast we can get to blow up just helps everyone else out in this game. So the tide raises all ships. So if we can support everybody, That'd be great. Also, go rate and review this show if you haven't already. Maybe you've never listened to this show and you're listening because Jason was on. If you are, I hope you stick around and check out more episodes. There's a fucking shitload to go back and listen to if you're trying to catch up. But those of you who come back week after week, and in this case, day after day, thank you so much. And I love each and every one of you guys. So hopefully one day, maybe this show will get us to golf cart status. I don't know. But Jason, we talked a lot about his story, but we didn't delve in super deep into some of the stuff that he's gone through because he's talked about it so much on other programs. So the Sam Roberts episode that I was talking about is on YouTube. If you want to hear about Jason coming out as bisexual, that was a really fascinating glimpse into his life and a very personal one. With the molestation and abuse, I mean, anywhere, any appearance he's been on Dr. Drew, any of that stuff, you can find that. I just didn't want to rehash the same thing over and over again and really just have a good conversation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought. And I'm just glad to bring you guys something different and new and fresh. And we've got more episodes coming out for you every day until Christmas. So rate and subscribe so you don't miss any of the action. Thanks again to Jason for coming on. I hope each and every one of you guys are having a great time this holiday and being safe out there. And man, I'm going to get out of here. I got way more episodes coming your way. So I got to get to work to bring you the daily fire. 12 days of pure pleasure. We are well into it now. And we're going to see you guys tomorrow. So as always, we'll see you on the radio.